Hey, this is Tom Calvin. Thanks for tuning in to Tomorrow's Legends.
In 2016, a new TV show hit the digital airwaves and needed a podcast dedicated to chronicling its adventures. An elite team has been assembled for this task. Unfortunately, the world's listeners have not heard of this Wonder Twin duo. And although they may not be known now, in the future they will be referred to as Tomorrow's Legends.
What's going on around here?
Well, we're getting back from the mission.
Yeah, you missed the whole thing. It was crazy. There were giant worms, gunfights, and saloon brawls.
But no one thought to wake me up.
And now, here are your hosts, the Scarlet Speedster himself, the Flash, the Maid of Mischief Harley Quinn, and the Blue Beacon of Hope, X-Force 11.
Yes, hello, Legendaires. Welcome to Tomorrow's Legends. We're here for episode 8 of the 6th season, and this one was called Stressed Western. I am the gun-toting, heel-kicking, boot-stomping Flash.
I'm Harley Quinn.
And I'm the sipping sarsaparilla X-Force 11.
Hello, Legends.
Yes. So we're going to just dive right into this one tonight because there's no news to speak of. I guess they're holding on to stuff because we got a week off. Nothing really to talk about.
Yep.
Awesome. Let's get right into it. Ratings for this Western romp.
So I gave this one 6 not enough diggle or bass.
Oh, that's a low for you.
Yeah. While it was a fun romp, legend style, I wanted more time with our dig. And I know David directed this episode, but still, I mean, we got some answers and some direction of where we may be going. But overall, I'm left with a milkshake headache after this episode.
And that's probably finer than every joke in the episode.
Probably.
Yikes. Yeah, that's a low for you, X-Force. We don't often hear you drop much below 7 or 8, so boy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Harley?
I'm right there with him. I gave this 6 annoying singing narrators. Scrubs did it better. I don't know. I normally dig the Western episodes, but this one just really didn't do it for me. It was weird, to quote our captain. The first half, it was just so weird. And it felt an awful lot like a setup episode to me. It sort of sets John in motion to find this fountain of Imperium or whatever is going to happen with that. And then it showcases Sarah's new powers. But other than that, it kind of could have stood on its own at any point in the season. It just didn't stand out to me. And I don't know, maybe I was tired. The first half of this one really, for sure, did not keep me engaged. I got better after the second half, but the first half I was just kind of like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you guys both had points right off the bat. I mean, the Fountain of Imperium, there were some interesting points, but it didn't really lead to anything here. So it was kind of a filler episode, a kickoff episode. It's like we were saying last week, they ended it was like the mid-season finale, and they're like, okay, well, here's your break episode that's going to tell you what's coming next, and now after that we've got more episodes. So I don't know. It's just, they don't have to do that. We don't have 23 episodes this season to do that. Like, we're a shorter season, so.
Yeah.
Well, following suit, I'm going to come in right underneath you guys. I'm only giving this one a 5. Mustaches as bad as Oliver's wigs from Arrow.
Ouch.
What a waste. A waste of Diggle, a waste of Mick, a waste of my viewing time, just as most of the Western episodes for me have been. I am just, where I'm confused is how can our writers go from crap to stellar and back to crap again so quickly? I mean, we had a record-breaking highest rating last week, and now we're on our record-breaking lowest ratings, the three of us together. I don't get it. I don't know how that can happen, and it just makes this season definitely the bumpiest ride that we've ever gotten, between the lowest lows and the highest highs. And I mean, yeah, there were some directional hints like you guys talked about, and yeah, that narrating cowboy, for me, you're gonna hate my favorite scene.
Yes.
Harley. I'm sorry, because for me he got funnier as it went on, and right up to the point of Ava saying, "No, we can't keep him." That to me was funny, but that was probably to have that at the very end of the episode and me finally going, "Yes, oh, that was funny." Like, really, it took you 40 minutes to get there. It's just not enough. Legends, this is not good enough. Do better.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, wasn't my cup of tea either. I hear you.
Well, this should be interesting to talk when all three of us get. I don't think we've ever had an episode where all three of us are low on it. So I wonder how the discussion is going to go. It's going to be really interesting. So let's get into our talking points.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
Because I had to throw that in there. All right, where are we going to start?
There weren't really too many super distinct storylines, and now that our team is all, back together again, which is great, I try to just split it up into just a couple different key points to talk about. So I figure let's knock out Constantine's quest for magic real quick. We can start with the fact that he is very openly now searching for the Fountain of Imperium to restore his powers. And Gary definitely knows something about it. And you see throughout the entire episode that he's basically just trying to protect John, which I thought was kind of sweet. But at the same time, all of this happened over the course of the entire episode. But I was able to kind of condense it into one kind of quick point to talk about. So that's kind of, I feel like, how most of our show notes are going to go. But anyways, what did you guys feel about his search for the Fountain of Imperium?
Well, we kind of saw that coming. We guessed that, but I want to touch on what you said first about Gary. I think it can go one of two ways. It could sound like he was protecting John because maybe it's a power that he can't control, and we know that he cares very deeply for John, so maybe he is protecting him in that sense, that it's something John won't be able to handle. But it also might be something that maybe Gary is worried that if John gets a hold of that kind of power, he'll lose control. And they might lose him in that sense where, like power corrupts, right? So maybe he's worried, and I guess that's still a protection thing, but maybe he knows John pretty well now, and he knows that John getting that kind of power might not be able to control it, and then we've got a whole different situation there. So, but we like I said, we were guessing that he was going to do that, and what it makes me wonder is because he kind of said goodbye to everyone. We have all these goodbyes and send-offs. Does that mean he's going to be off the show now for a couple episodes, or are we actually going to get an episode or two that's just on him searching for this fountain? I'm wondering which way it's going to play out.
I don't know. The episode's titles don't really give us anything major that lead that way. I mean, maybe bad blood could be between him and Crawley, but I don't know. It just, I hope not, because I actually honestly found that this was the most interesting part of the episode to me, but I am curious on how working with Crawley is going to work for John, and why no one has found this before. I mean, I know they were looking in the stars, but it just makes me curious. So I'm hoping we get a couple episodes with showcasing John and maybe pulling others in there, because this is actually interesting to me more than kind of the filling time episodes like this episode seemed to be. So that's kind of my thoughts.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think they're sending him off, quote unquote, the Waverider, which I guess is he was just telling Zari what he's going to go do, and obviously it sounds very dangerous. So I think he's not going to take her with him. But yeah, I mean, one of the things that Gary does tell us throughout the episode is that the Fountain of Imperium is actually somewhere on Earth, and that the map is a map of our planet and it's not a map of the heavens, which is why apparently Earthlings, I guess, have never been able to find it, but aliens, I guess, know where it is. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the Indiana Jones type of stuff that we love. So if we were to get an Indiana Jones kind of episode, or even a Dan Brown type of episode, or National Treasure, just something like that. You know,
Yeah,
where
that
he's
would be
solving riddles and puzzles and going off into old artifacts and whatever. I mean, that would be really cool to see him going that way. And I think bringing Gary along, if they're going to have anyone, then bring Gary, because Gary's kind of been his partner, kind of his apprentice in a way, and Gary knows what's coming, so maybe he can help him out and protect him a little bit in that sense. But I mean, of course, it's going to be here on Earth because they don't want to spend money on another space adventure going to other planets and stuff. So I mean, you know, of course it's here on Earth, but I like how they wrote it and made it, because it does give us that Indiana Jones vibe. That, oh yeah, you guys, we're all looking to the stars trying to figure out the map when the stars are actually pointing right back at you as this is where it is. So yeah, it's cool. And I mean, with Crowley, it's weird that, like, he's the one who found the map. So because they said, like, Gary, how did Gary word it? He said, you know, the map has been in your attic this whole time, or the one who knows about the map has been in your attic this whole time. So all they said was Crowley's the only one that found it. So I'm guessing he has it still, or he has it hidden somewhere. So Constantine has to go talk to Crowley and somehow either trick him or make a deal with him to give up the location of the map, or give him the map if he actually has it. Maybe it's on the back of the painting. Maybe it's one of those things, you know, like invisible ink or something. It's on the back of the painting. Like, I have no idea, but I mean, that has to be the first step before he can go anywhere. Anyways, go get the map from Crowley.
Yeah. And this guy's not going to be super willing to help him after everything that happened a few episodes ago.
No.
That's why I say make a deal, like his freedom for the map or something, which John would probably do because it gives him ultimate power. And unless Crowley becomes the partner on this adventure.
I don't know. Yeah, I am interested to see where it goes. So
yeah,
hopefully,
if it goes,
hopefully we get some of that.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That was the most interesting stuff.
All right. Well, then let's talk about something that shocked me about Sarah. I actually was completely shocked that she confessed to Ava so quickly. We speculated if they were going to keep it secret, and they did not.
Yeah, well, that was one of the last things we talked about. We were wondering about that, and boom, she just blurts it out so fast. And you know, we were wondering if the secrets were going to be played, and no, not at all. Just out with it, because she just couldn't hang on. You can tell she was acting all weird, and Ava was starting to pick up on what's going on with you, and then she burst it out. So yeah, boom. But Ava's reaction was funny because she kind of went, "What?" Like she laughs at it like it's a big joke first.
Yeah, Again, I like the honesty here between these two. Good communication builds good relationships, and Sarah's priority is Ava, and she's been away and doesn't want to keep anything from her. So I like that we're seeing a little bit of the communication and honesty that we've seen on Superman and Lois here in a small part, on Legends. So
yeah.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I guess you could say John was honest. He at least told Zarya what he's going to go do, and she was obviously concerned about him. So at least their relationship kind of seems to be open and with each other too. So
yeah, they've progressed. So
that's true. Now, the other odd thing I noticed, and I don't know if this was just something for the episode or if we'll get more about this, but she's right now obsessed with cherries, which seemed just like an odd thing to focus on.
Well, I think that it's the first clue about whatever alien DNA is inside her. I was expecting something to possibly happen this episode, but I think whatever alien is inside her either has never tasted cherries before or absolutely loves them, and it's just the first clue towards slowly something is going to be revealed, I think, with her, combined DNA.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So we'll see.
Well, yeah, it seemed odd, so it stuck out to me. Anyway, the only reason I mentioned it. Anyways, okay, so we're gonna. This next point is gonna jump almost clear towards the end of the episode, but it has to do with Sarah and her new powers. So I wanted to talk about this before we talk about the rest of the mission to Fist City. So The team does end up learning about Sarah this episode. At the beginning, I was wondering if she was going to tell them, and it turns out she doesn't have to tell them because Stapleton cheats during his duel and shoots her straight through the head. Like, it was very crazy to see, like, the effects that they did. I thought were very cool.
Yeah.
But it seems that for right now, she can heal from anything. I guess maybe short of her head literally being chopped off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy that part of it. Reminds me on the Marvel side of Wolverine. But, honestly, I was like, how long are we going to keep this up? And it became a little bit of a plot device of keeping it away from them by the end. But I do think her powers are pretty cool. I like kind of the doors and the possibilities that this is going to open up for her, and how it's going to affect and change the dynamic of the team. So
yeah, good point.
Well, and here's the thing. I'm not even sure if it's so much healing powers now. I mean, she healed the wound, but it's more like that she can't be killed superpower, because that's a bullet right through. I mean, the hole went all the way through her head, out in the back, out the front. That would kill any creature that has a brain in their head. That would drop them dead in an instant. And yet she just stood there blinking like, that kind of wasn't very fun. And then it heals. And so I there's something more than just healing going on. I'm wondering what type of alien he put in her, and if we're ever going to even get more information about that, because she obviously can't be killed, like you said, Harley, unless maybe her head gets chopped off. But so if she loses an arm, what's going to happen? Does she grow it back? It's crazy. I mean, that's a bullet through the head. Any human being, I don't care what DNA you have in you, that would drop you down. So she can now survive and not have any ill effects at all from a bullet ripping through her brain and her skull. It's crazy to me.
Yeah,
and it right away reminded me of the animated movie Flashpoint. Right at the very end, when Reverse Flash gets shot in the back of the head by Batman, and that was a shocking, ending to that as well. But it was the exact same shot. Just put Reverse Flash in that spot. It looked exactly the same.
Crazy.
So
crazy. All right. Well, then let's jump into our actual mission, which is kind of the quote meat of the episode. So let's go through a few things that happened and a few things we learned, a few things we liked. So I think, I mean, I definitely already said this in the beginning, but it was kind of weird. And I think what unsettled me the most about this episode is that it was the opposite of a Wild West episode. And it's not even that it was like too campy for me. I don't know. I could not get into the first half of the episode. It just was too weird for me. I couldn't get into it. This whole premise.
Yeah, it wasn't our usual Wild West at all. Nothing felt right. It was awkwardly uncomfortable and just, I mean, weird's the best word to describe it, but it just wasn't the usual stuff at all. And it never settled in. It never felt okay. And like, what's going on here? Why is things so different? It just felt, something's wrong.
And the big thing is, I mean, I know we're rotating our cast on how we're doing stuff, but on our normal Wild West episode, Mick would be like front and center because that's, who he is. He that's how he rolls. And I think if they had him in this episode, it would just highlight how weird it was, and how anti-Wild West, how tame West it was having him, because like the ground would be vibrating every 2 seconds because he would be upset. So it was a weird one. So
yeah,
and that's probably the biggest takeaway or downfall of this episode, is to not include Mick. And I've seen people complaining all over the place. Even Patty Spivey beside me was angry. Oh my God! Like, why is Mick benched again? Like, they're just wasting him. So I'll be interested to see what she said in her feedback. But this is his type of episode. He can go to the saloon, get drunk, get into a bar fight, whatever. I mean, he's totally useful. And what do? They give us tons of time with Astra and Spooner, I know they're coming up later in the notes, but we get tons of time with them, and why? Why? We don't need them. They're the worst two characters on our team, and you're leaving one of our best original characters sitting on the Waverider eating and drinking, and he basically falls asleep the whole episode, because when they come back, he's just napping on the chair there or whatever. Like, it's ridiculous. Why are they even wasting Mick so much? Like, what's the point in even having him here? If this is what you're going to write for him, I'd be leaving the show too if I was the actor. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, in this episode, he would have just caused more problems than not, so that's definitely why the writers sidelined him. But anyways.
But that'd be more entertaining to see him cause problems and screw everything up. That'd be more entertaining.
Well, but this one would have been a bit difficult because the whole point is that this alien is some sandworm. I don't know, it reminded me of Dune, so I'm calling it a sandworm. And then just like feeds on anger and apparently poops gold. So if Mick is angry all the time, he would have been dead in 30 seconds. So that's how I was headcanoning my way of me being okay with him just like asleep on the Waverider, basically.
Yeah.
Go ahead, X-Force, you got a point there.
Oh, I was just going to say that Gary gives us the name as a Haverak, a rage eater, tamed by a whistle, so...
Yeah, that may have been my other problem with this, too.
To me, it's just weird. I mean, that is really stretching for ideas. The writers are hitting creativity blocks big time this season, and to me, that's just... That's a nitpick screw-up. I don't understand. A worm that poops gold, that feeds on anger in a western town. You're really, really stretching. I mean, I know Legends is an oddball show, but that's reaching too far and trying to come up with something. I have no idea. I mean, at one point, they even messed this one up, because at one point when the fights were starting, the earthquake started. Every time somebody got angry, the worm would come, and that would start. Like, I assume the earthquakes were because the worm is burrowing under the ground, causing the earthquake. Yeah. But there's a scene where the fight starts in the bar when everyone's getting mad, and the earthquakes start. Then it cuts to the scene of Astra and Spooner watching the Earth's or the worm's cave, and the worm just comes out of the cave. But I thought the worm coming to town is what causes the earthquakes, like in the movie Tremors, and yet they already felt the earthquakes and the worm hadn't even moved yet. So I was like, you guys kind of misedited that or something. Like that was wrong timing there.
That's funny. I did not pick up on that, but that's probably because I was not super into it, but that's a good point.
Yeah, I noticed that the second time, but here we are. Explain nothing. Explain nothing.
Maybe the editors were asleep like Mick. I don't know.
Yeah. So my thoughts initially was the Sheriff Levi was using the worm to keep the town docile and keep the more heavy duty criminals out so he could get the gold for himself. I think that would have been a little more fun angle than what they did, but that was my initial thoughts before everything got revealed.
Well, and it makes sense too, X-Force. Like, I mean, I don't even know what he was doing. There was no writing for him that made any sense other than he had a whistle to tame nothing made sense. Why didn't they go into some depth about that and make him, the quote-unquote villain of this episode? Other than the gunfight, nothing was built around that. So we were left going, what? Who is this guy? Why?
Yeah, it was weird. It seemed like he corrupted the whole town, kind of, and he took the place of the sheriff because he figured out what was going on with the worm because he had the whistle, but then the whole town was in on it. So it was very strange. It was very strange.
I don't know. Just don't get it.
And so then we have the opposite half. We have the real marshal being called bandit and outlaw, and Bass Reeves, David's character in this episode, is an actual person, one of the first African American lawmen west of the Mississippi, who was a former slave, and actually who the Lone Ranger was based off of. And so neat background. I'll put some more info in the group, but it's really neat. He hung out with the Indians, learned their language, tracking skills, and things like that. So they kind of took that real person and put their spin on it, but in my mind, not enough.
Yeah.
In everybody's mind, I mean, the info you just gave us would have been so cool to know and have it actually be part of the episode and give David Ramsey something to do, something to act, a story to tell. He was completely useless. I mean, for 3/4 of the episode, all we got from him is him peeking out from behind a tree. Like, what is he even there for? It was ridiculous. What a waste. I don't care if he directed the episode. It's a waste. Why are you even here when you're not doing anything? He had like 2 lines with Spooner and Astra, and then he comes to town and he gets involved in the shootout, and Sarah looks at him and goes, "Dig?" And he just keeps shooting. No response, no interaction, no nothing. And I was like, you have a chance here to pull these classic characters together and give them a moment, give them some time together, and all you get is "dig" and blam, 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 and he walks away from her. I'm like, what is going on here? What a waste.
Yeah.
Huge nitpick about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could have done a little bit more with that.
Totally.
But I did enjoy Nate, and I'm not going to go too much into depth on this because it's part of my favorite, scene here. But I did enjoy him bringing in the history and talking about the history of the town and all the outlaws who were there, and just giving us some insight into the West. And so I like him doing that. I liked him kind of trying to make it light for Sarah, like Ava asked him to. So I really, for the most part, I really liked him in this episode.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, we always enjoy when he pulls on the history, and it always amazes me how much he knows and remembers. It doesn't matter what time period it is, whether it's World War I, World War II, the Wild West, it doesn't matter. He seems to be nerding out about all of it, and that is fun to witness.
It is. And I mean, I liked him a lot this episode too. He's definitely what brought it up for me, I would say. And I think what I enjoyed the most about it is I just really liked him kind of running point in the field and trying to keep things under control. These were, his scenes were definitely some of the better parts of the episode for me, for sure.
Yeah.
Do you guys notice, though, and this might just me, but I get this feeling that the actors seem to know when they're part of a bad episode, because it seems like their acting just drops a whole bunch of notches down. Like we've seen Katie Lotz really pull out a good performance, and I just thought she was weak in this one. Just very weak. And Nate seemed like, as much as we enjoyed Nate, it just seemed like he was overacting, like he was compensating for the bad writing. And everyone else, I mean, Astra was completely dull. I couldn't stand any scene she was in, and Spooner just was annoying. Like, they just all seemed to be like, ugh, this is bad writing, this is a bad episode, and it's like they were just trying to get through it. And I don't know, are you guys picking up on that, or is it just me?
Yeah, I think the actors rise to the script and rise to the occasion, and I don't know. I just, at this point, I don't. I don't know if they're just along for the ride and they know that there's going to be episodes like this, and so they're just, okay, I'm going to have fun, just be outlandish with it or not, and then just pull it back for those other episodes. I just don't know. I don't know what their thinking is in that. So
yeah. Well, speaking of Spooner and Astra, I actually have a few points about them.
Okay.
Because I didn't hate their scenes as much as the Flash over here did. I thought they actually made kind of a decent team by the end there. They were at odds for most of the episode, which at points was kind of a little annoying, and at other points it was kind of neat to see them working through some stuff. But they sort of came together in the end to save the day. I mean, Nate essentially forced them basically into a buddy system so that they would be friends by the end of the mission. And that just kind of like made me laugh, because I was like, that's just such a Legends thing to do. Just be like, you two go off, because that's always kind of how it's worked out in the past. Two people that are not getting along, they go off and they have to go through the whole mission, and then by the end of the mission, they're good. He was just calling it out. So a bit meta, but I did enjoy it.
Yeah, and I think pairing made sense. They were the two off of the team who really had no childhoods. Astra grew up in hell. Spooner grew up in foster homes and things like that, and they had friction because they were too much alike in so many aspects. So I think it was good for them to team up and work together. That's my 2 cents there. So.
Well, it's just they're just my two least favorite characters on the show. So they have no interest for me at all. Spooner is not growing on me. I don't really care for her, and the whole alien speaking thing. Like, is she able to just talk to all aliens? Because she spoke sandworm today or in this episode. And like, really, like, come on, this seems like just a gimmick that's gonna write them out of a whole bunch of situations. I'm like, nah, the too plot devicey for me.
Yeah, I mean, her powers are convenient, but that was her entire purpose of the season. So yeah, I mean, we haven't seen the end of it. Maybe there's a bigger reveal coming, like we've speculated, that she's really an alien or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of the alien, I actually like that Nate had the foresight here to sort of draw the worm to him outside so that he could turn to steel. I mean, his plan completely stopped there, which I found amusing.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, where is he going with this? And I was like, oh, okay, he's going to turn to steel. But I was like, but where is he going with this? And so I love that he acknowledged it. He's like, and this is where my plan ends.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, he was the only one that had his head straight, and maybe being swallowed as the Man of Steel, maybe he could punch his way out of the worm. Who knows what he was thinking, but or he wasn't. I don't know.
Or maybe he could survive being pooped out of it. I don't know. Yeah. Or something.
Well, yeah, I mean, we don't know. Does he have to breathe when he's steel form? Can he hold his breath for a long time? Like, we don't really know the extent of his abilities when he's in steel form. But
it's whatever they need him to be able to do. It seems like, or not do.
Yeah,
as the case may be.
But
well, the good news was he didn't have to worry about the fact that his plan stopped there, because fortunately Spooner and Astra did come to the rescue. Spooner gets into its head and stops it long enough for Astra to kind of use her magic and take it out. I did find it amusing that the spell she was trying to use earlier in the episode actually finally worked when she needed it.
I'm just going to groan. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I know you did not like that part. Yeah. What I didn't like is the singing cowboy narrator. So now y'all talk about that.
See, that part actually grew on me as the show was going on, and it kept getting funnier because I just liked how the music in the last part of the episode, the music never stopped. It played all the way through the last, I don't know, maybe 8-10 minutes, I'm not sure. And that last moment with Ava where saying they can't keep him, to me, was the best part of the episode, and we'll have that coming around. It just, for me, that's not saying much when the very end of the episode is the best part of the episode, but what I liked about it is that it's a collage of scenes, and I enjoy that on all my other TV shows. A lot of them do, whether it was Modern Family or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or whatever, they've all done this thing before where there's a musical interlude and we're just listening to the song that's telling us a story about the scenes we're watching, and this was Legend's version of that, and I don't know, it grew on me, especially I rewatched that bit when I was trying to find my favorite scene. I was like, oh, you know what, I really like that. So yeah.
Well, I like musicals a lot.
Me too.
And there's this trope of the singing cowboy has been used to tell stories in different mediums. But as a narrative device in this episode, it was just flat for me and it threw off the rhythm. So, but I just I got tired of it. So
you'll both be taking off your headphones when I'm playing my favorite clip, I guess.
Please tell me it's not 10 minutes long. If it is, I am definitely taking off my headphones. You might have to start waving at the screen. Because you just said the last 10 minutes of the episode was him singing.
It's maybe 2 minutes. I'm not sure, something like that.
Okay. Yeah. No, Scrubs did it better. Scrubs did it way better.
Yep. No, I love Scrubs.
I don't know, so yeah.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to talk about Zari and Bayrod, and they had their bickering moments, but I do appreciate that we're getting to see some of the sibling dynamic that exists between them in this reality, because we haven't been a part of a reality where they're both alive, and so
Sure.
I liked that they used this to bring it together in a way that felt okay and felt like it should work between the two of them. And I like that Zari's looking out for him. The question I had comes at the end of the episode because they're trying to help somebody else out. So Bayrod takes both totems to give to Nate so that he can go visit Zari 1.0. And I'm like, could they have not done this before when it was just one totem? And we're not, he's been mopey all season long and we're just getting to it now because plot device? I mean, I'm happy for Nate, but still, come on. I mean, oh.
I'm with you. Like,
I agree.
Happy for Nate, but even happier for us as viewers. We may get to see Zari 1 when he goes to visit her, but it doesn't make sense. Why do two totems? All it was the first totem copied so that each could have one. Why is it that they need two of them now to go visit her? It doesn't make any sense. You could just do it with one totem because we saw them doing it with just the single totem a couple times already.
Yeah.
It's crazy, yeah. I mean, and to go to your first point, it was neat to see a little bit of Zari and Bayrod. Bayrod actually wasn't his normal annoying stoner self this episode. He was actually into being a cowboy and playing up the part. He was a little more fun to watch. Mm-hmm. So it was cool to see them kind of, being brother and sister and building that relationship more for us to understand them, because this Zari, we didn't know what this Zari and him was like. We know what Zari 1.0 was like because she lost her brother, and that meant everything to her. So now we see the relationship between these two and why it was so strong, and why Zari 1.0 was, really at odds with herself to try to save her brother originally. So, yeah, I like that. But going back to the totem thing, just yes, awesome, but doesn't make any sense. Explain it, please.
Yeah, well, I mean, with the totems, I don't think it's the fact that there had to be two. They could have done it with one. I'm with Jeff. It didn't happen because of plot device. I mean, they ignored it, and then they had a plot device to have two air totems so that they could solve that problem. And now, Nate has his big exposition moment where he is frustrated and he's not doing okay, and he brings it to everybody's attention or whatever. And so they're like, oh, I get it now. I haven't, it's just, they haven't been paying attention or realizing that he was so upset. And so I think that's like literally it, which is, I mean, I hope that means we could see more of Zari 1.0, but yeah, it doesn't. Other than that, I was just like, why wait till now? I don't think they really had to. I think it just didn't work with the story otherwise. But the sibling dynamic was cool though. Did enjoy the relationship. Yep. Liked seeing that.
Cool. Well, that's kind of all we got for discussion tonight. This is, going to be a little bit of a shorter episode because we are ready to do our favorite scenes.
Yes.
Shape out an eagle!
All right, Harley is first up, and I named this one just for you because I want to hear you say it.
Oh, thanks. Well, we have named this apparently Bone Jumper Gary. And this is the scene where Spooner picks up on Sarah's alien vibes and they blame it all on Gary. So let's listen to it, and then I have a few points I want to bring up.
Hey, Spoons, you okay?
Just alien mind mail's been firing up since the space cadets got back. It's coming from
Gary, obviously.
Well, if my read's right, Gary is hiding something big from us.
Well, that's okay, whatever it is, right? I mean, Gary, you're an alien, but you're also one of us, and I think we should all be more accepting of Gary.
Okay, but now my read says Gary wants to jump Ava's bones.
Yeah, sounds about right.
What?
Okay, I tried that.
I don't look on his face. I do not.
Okay, well, I feel like getting back in the saddle. Who's coming with me?
Okay, that's the funniest scene. Oh, Gary just wants to jump in. What? I didn't know. Okay, that was funny.
They're like, oh yeah, no, actually that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
This was one at the very beginning. I really did enjoy this scene. I mean, this was where they were Sarah and Ava were clearly trying to hide from the team, like, what was going on with her. And so I kind of liked, like, Ava's point is, but Gary's an alien and we accept that, right? So she's trying to just, like, lay the groundwork, you know, for Sarah to basically, like, fess up that she's part alien now. But I think in our last episode, I mean, we definitely wondered if Spooner would pick up on Sarah as an alien, like Sarah's vibes. And it seems that she does. So I think that's very interesting.
Yeah, so what's going to come of that, though? Like again, it leads into what is going to happen to Sarah. Is she eventually going to change? Is something going to come out of her? Or it's just, you know, does she just have to let her own know, hey, I got alien DNA in me? Like, why is Spooner picking up on it? Is it a threat? We don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a good question. So we'll see where they go with that one. But.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. X-Force, you're next.
All right. Well, I called this one Nate Lets It All Out, and Flash called it Rage of Steel. So let's take a listen.
I want to ignore you. Wish I would get involved. I would finish. You might want to take your mouth on that.
Can't you just hold it together till we get the job done? I mean, I don't know what's harder, finding the alien or keeping the peace between you people.
Nate, the worm, remember? Just you want me to simmer it down.
You know what? I won't simmer down. I've been having a lot of big feelings too lately, and now's the exact right time to share them. When Mick left the ship, it wasn't easy being the OSG, but did any of you check in on my existential crisis? No, because Nate's so chill, isn't he?
Dude, you're right. We should talk, but maybe not while the worm's coming.
I used to have Zari to talk to, right? And while all of you are hooking up and getting engaged, I guess she's just stuck in a totem forever.
No offense. I think you're great. It's not really an either-or type of thing.
And don't get me started about life on the ship. 6 roommates, and I'm the only one that replaces the cartridges and the fabricators?
I didn't know they took cartridges.
Well, they do, genius. They do. And I know one of you changes the thermostat every night, so don't blame it on the idiot. Well, since none of you can hold it together, guess I'll draw the worm to me so you don't get eaten alive because I'm so chill. So come and get me, you alien slug. I got your romp right here.
That white boy is a goner.
There's a lot happening in that scene. A lot.
Yeah, I mean, I really like that he gets everything off his chest, and golly, get him a chair at the Hall of Justice. Come on, guys. I mean, I loved it, but yeah, it was a fun scene, and that I really enjoyed him taking one for the team there.
Yeah, I think these 2 scenes that it's made me realize that there was parts in the episode I enjoyed more. I think just the rest of the episode was so poorly put together that I forgot how fun there was a few good moments in it. So.
Yeah. No, I mean, there were definitely good moments. I mean, it just with the whole thing, like, together as a whole, I don't know. I just didn't find it super engaging, and I didn't really vibe with the whole, like, Tame Wild West premise. I mean, that definitely sort of, I mean, for the first, like, 30 minutes, I was like, what? Where are they going with this? Like, it's just weird. Like, it's not funny. It's not, I don't know. I wasn't into it. But there's like this was by far. This was also my favorite scene. If Jeff hadn't written it down first, I would have picked it.
Yeah.
But
and then I'm gonna ruin it all with my favorite scene. Because you guys picked 2 good ones, so I'm just going with the cowboy collage. Sorry, guys. The final moments of the episode where the narrating cowboy sings to us everything that actually led up to what I thought of, a perfect way to lead into hiatus time. I mean, it's only a week off, but still.
True.
He just tells us how everything ended. So here's the singing cowboy.
Mm-hmm.
But you were probably wondering what happened to that band of outsiders. Well, from what I heard tell, they cleaned up the town, got it back to itself. Beer at the bar and poker hands dealt. They got on their ship being sure no one's seen them. The only fights left were the ones between them.
You here to shower me with pity, Gary Green?
No. I know how you can get him out to the fountain. Shouldn't be much trouble, actually, because the man who found it lives in your attic.
Alistair Crowley.
If anyone can find that fountain and live to tell it, it's you. So, I'll be seeing you, John Constantine.
Well, the magic man's heading off for the unknown. But his lady goodbye, then he's head off alone. She told him she trusted that he'd dodge any doom. Now what are the captains? Let's cut to their room.
Hey.
Hey, babe.
Made you something?
Thank you. I think my normal appetite is finally starting to come back.
Good.
But this does look good.
We'll dig in. You know what? I think I've been trying way too hard to pretend that things around here could be normal.
Babe, we both were.
Right?
I wanted so badly for everything to just feel like it was before, but after everything we've been through, there's no going back.
But does that have to be a bad thing? Maybe we can be something new, something better. I mean, let's be honest, we were never normal to begin with, so why start now? What?
What's that?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Passion Dragon Ash?
Yes.
Saw John on his way out. You doing okay?
Yeah, trying.
Well, I'm here if you need me. But I know you'll be fine. You are the wise one after all.
Okay, look, I know I can be a bit overbearing at times, but I just want you to be happy.
Hey, I actually know who could use both our help. Can I, borrow your totem?
Yo.
Hey, man. You want a donut?
Thanks, dude, but I actually came to give you something.
But no. No, I cannot be a totem master. Maybe with some training, but at this point...
No. It's so you can visit her. So you can see Zari. That's possible? I'm sure it's been tough, and I should have noticed, but now you can take a totem trip to her and do what you do together. Just, let me know when you're done.
Now the guy of steel's off to see his girl. Sure, it's weird, but then so is the world. So I leave you now with this takeaway. That there might not be a normal, but I might be okay.
I told you guys we can't keep the cowboy narrator.
Sorry. Hey, man, we'll drop you off.
Happy trails, legends.
Okay, it was closer to 3 minutes. I was like 2 minutes, 40-something seconds. But still, within the song, there's all these little nice moments happening, and that's why I enjoyed it. Each character had their finishing touch on the episode, and to me, that just was a lot more enjoyable than what got us to this point. So,
yeah, I would have rather just seen the scenes, but that's okay.
They were not bopping and dancing in their seats this time, listeners.
No.
All right, let's just remind everybody about our Patreon support. This is how you can do that.
If you'd like to support our podcast, you can do so at our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/tomorrowslegends.
And we are going to figure out, I think we've got our next session for Patreon supporters coming up soon, where it's the Ask Us Anything. So we'll figure out those details and let you guys know.
Yeah.
Let's move into feedback.
Don't keep it to yourself now. Come on, baby, talk to us. It's feedback. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get him to do a Western themed one for us because every season we have one Western episode. So.
Oh no.
Well, we got a treat to kick us off, or kick our feedback off this week. It is Podcast Overlord coming in with his, I think it's his thoughts on the season so far. So let's see what he has to say.
Yay.
Hello, everyone. Kevin Batchelder, a.k.a. Podcast Overlord here. Hope you're all doing good. I wanted to share some thoughts on some of the recent stuff here in this season. Specifically, it's great to have Sarah back. As many of you know, if you're longtime listeners, she is one of my favorite characters on TV, certainly. So having Katie back and Sarah back really means a lot to me. I got to admit, I do appreciate the Legends writers and how they're willing to try different things. Not everything hits, at the top level, but they try, and I appreciate that zaniness. But it was a bit too long without Sarah. Got to say, for me, obviously she's my fave, so having her not there for half dozen episodes or barely there was a bit tough and longer than I would have liked. But it's great that she's back. That recent episode was just awesome, with so much of her working with Bishop and the chance to do the proposal the right way. I think that's wonderful. So it hit so well emotionally. So, I really love the Ava-Lance relationship. That's wonderful. And having her back and the whole team kind of together now, I'm really excited for where we're going to go from here. And I'm not really sure. I'm going to keep that open mind and the Legends way of doing things as far as having Sarah now as the clone. As she told Bishop, man, her scars, those are cornerstone for her, going way back to, her time on Arrow, season 2, and way back. So I'm not sure how that's going to interact with things, but hey, got the healing ability naturally too, so, plus, minus, we'll see where it goes. It could be very interesting. Like I say, I'm going to give them some space and see how that plays out going forward, as well as the relationship side of it now that, they're engaged and all. So it should be good. Really looking forward to it. Also, it's really cool that we've got so little time between seasons 6 and 7, and they're not doing season 7 as a winter, spring type thing. So we're going to go from like a finale late in August of the current season to like 6 weeks later, middle of October, to have them back. So, that's going to be great, having so much Legends running for several months at a time there. So appreciate all the work on the podcast and the fun in the Facebook group and all. I hope you folks all take care.
Always good to hear from Kevin, Podcast Overlord.
Yes.
Always.
He is to many of us, he's a mentor. He's the one that kind of helped get us all started in this podcasting game. So it's always good when he chimes in with his thoughts.
Yes. And it's always nice to run into him at Dragon Con, which I haven't been able to do for almost 2 years now. But
yeah, exactly. Well, thanks for sending that in, Kev. It's good to hear from you, and we hope you're doing well. Also, next up is an email from Daryl. Take her away, X-Force.
Too many episodes in the Arrowverse drag out big reveals for way too long. So it's good that the team knows Sarah's secret in this one. A man and woman talking doesn't equal flirting, but the CW writers don't seem to realize that. If anything, I would bet on Astra and Spooner happening.
Oh boy.
Classic enemies to lovers. Interesting.
The shipping.
Glad to see Dominic's...
Sorry, the shipping never stops. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
that's true.
Glad to see Dominic's real-life girlfriend in this episode during the on period of their on-again, off-again romance.
Well, which one was his girlfriend?
It's the one Bayrod was going after.
Oh.
I did
I had
not
no
know.
idea. Cool. Okay, well.
Yeah. So let's see. Even happier to hear Sarsaparilla mentioned because they at least pay attention to period accuracy. Sarsaparilla is essentially Old West root beer. Stop shooting Avalanche in the head. It's funny to see Nate mention the Hall of Justice as if crossovers aren't meaningless now.
Yeah.
I don't know. Where was Mick? I mean, seriously.
That's how he ends it.
I agree with you, Daryl.
Yeah. Good stuff, Daryl. Next up is a voicemail from Perry White.
Hello, Flash, Harley, and X-Force 11. It's your intrepid reporter friend, Perry White, here for feedback for Legends of Tomorrow's stressed Western. Let me go ahead and take a deep breath. I'll get to my rating. That'll probably be the last thing that I'll do. So let me just keep this short and sweet and talk about the things that I liked about this episode. While Spooner and Astra are not my favorite characters, I do like the sort of frenemies dynamic that they got to explore in this episode. Obviously, when you have such a large ensemble cast, you have to sort of play around with who you pair together and who you team up together, and obviously why you team them up together. And so this week we got these two together, sort of as punishment to a degree, but it was kind of interesting to see the sort of personality traits that they both have, and they got to explore that and share that together. And it was nice to see them obviously team up at the end to take down that alien gold crapping worm thing, whatever it was supposed to be. So that was fun. What else did I like about this episode? I liked the bit of wisdom that David Ramsey's character got to share with Astra and Spooner there at the end, essentially about keeping his head low, dealing with people who underestimate you, and obviously how you can use that to your advantage. I thought that was a good piece of advice, just in general, and I think it's sort of a good piece of advice, obviously, just sort of coming from his character, who, from what I understand, in terms of the history of the character, was supposed to be, or might have been, sort of a template for the Long Ranger, and so sort of being undercover to a degree, and I don't want to say forgotten, but sort of underestimated. That little bit of advice sort of made sense, both from a character perspective and just in life in general. So I thought that was nice, and I liked that a lot. Let's see, what else did I like about the episode? I liked the fact I liked David Ramsey's direction in this episode. From some of the things that I've read and seen, he had a lot of things to sort of deal with in this episode. Obviously, during a pandemic, coming in and directing a show that's obviously far along in its production, and you sort of coming in there and sort of trying to figure out the tone of the show and the stories and the characters and that sort of thing, and then having to deal with obviously a global pandemic, probably the most number of extras that they've had in an episode in quite some time, and weather and all sorts of things that he had to deal with, and not only that, but he also played a role in this show. Most often when you have someone who's directing an episode, they are hardly in it, or most often they are not in it at all. He had a lot of hats to wear, had a lot of things to do, had a lot of things to navigate, and I thought his direction was fine. So kudos to David Ramsey.
No excuse.
Strangely enough, one of the other things I like, and I'm not one of those people who likes musicals or that sort of thing, but I kind of sort of dug the cowboy narrator, particularly sort of the ending wrap up. I thought that was fun, lighthearted, and I thought it was cool, so I like that too.
Thank you.
Let's see. Now that I've got sort of the pleasantries out of the way, let's go with some of the things that I did not like, or some of the things that I did not appreciate so much. Wait, Nate. I'm sorry. Before I do that, let me also mention two other things that I really liked. I liked the fact that for another episode, Nate stepped up in his leadership role. I thought that was compelling for his character, and I think that's sort of where his character is going to start going from here on out, and particularly in the next season, particularly as Mick will no longer be a regular character. So I think that progression is natural, and we're obviously seeing it on screen. The other thing that I like was they did not drag out Sarah telling Ava the truth about her situation. We've seen, obviously, CW shows where they would sort of drag this thing out for an episode or two or three or whatever the case is, and I think we got the revelation before the first break. So that was refreshing and cool to see. Also really, really liked the very first opening scene where all the legends were helping Ava prepare for Sarah's breakfast. I just thought that was really cool, really well done, really well shot. And it just flowed so incredibly well. So I like that too. All right. So now I think I've gotten all the good things out of the way. Let's go to the things that I did not appreciate. We had David Ramsey on the show, and while he was playing a character other than Diggle, and I think we all knew and understood that, and obviously he had the sort of weight of being the director of the episode, but good God Almighty, if you're going to bring David Ramsey onto a show to act, maybe you could separate the two. Maybe you give him an episode that he directs, and then you have him do an episode where he acts. That way he sort of gets to fully flesh out both of those things. I mean, David Ramsey's a big deal, key character for the Arrowverse, and I think that having him on the show was obviously a really good deal. I just think the execution of it was sorely lacking, so I did not appreciate that a great deal. The other thing that I did not appreciate was we had two mix scenes. Had him at the very beginning, sitting at a table doing nothing, and then we had him at the end basically sleep after reading a book about celestial bodies. I'm pretty sure he was having dreams about Kayla, but really those are the only two times that we saw him. So obviously that was disappointing.
Big time.
The last thing that I thought was disappointing was sort of the Behrad and Zari story. While I like the fact that they want to explore their relationship as brother and sister, the trope of having her try to get him into a relationship where he's not looking for a quote-unquote bad girl, I mean, that's totally bottom-of-the-barrel CW type stuff. I mean, if you want to give them brother and sister dynamics and stories, find something better than this. That was extremely disappointing, and to be honest, it took up some screen time and story time that could have been used for other characters. Cough, cough. David Ramsey. Good Lord. So I say all that to say this. I know that I probably had more bad things to say than most would expect for a rating of 7 that I'm going that I'm going to give this episode. Sorry, I had a frog in my throat, but that was a 7. Overall, I enjoyed the episode enough. It was sort of one of those deals where after sort of like COVID or a bunch of hiccups or whatever the case may be, that you're finally able to get back with all your friends, and it really doesn't matter what you do. It's just sort of one of those deals where the gang's all back together and you sort of appreciate that. So that has a lot to do with my rating of a 7. I'm guessing that I will probably have one of the higher ratings for this episode, as others might not see it as such. But I look forward to hearing what everyone else has to say about this episode. That's enough for me today. Perry White is signing out.
There's some days where me and him are right in tune with each other, and I pretty much agreed on most of what he had to say. He just repeated what I said already, so that was good. Awesome stuff. All right, well, next up is another special treat, someone we don't hear from very much this season. This might actually be only the second time we've heard from Patty Spivot on Legends. Here she is.
Hey, Flash, Harley, and X-Force 11. It is Patty Spivot calling in with some feedback. So I didn't actually mind this episode. I thought it was kind of our level of fun and zaniness that we've come to expect. The storylines didn't really progress forward a lot. I don't know if it was just maybe a filler episode after we got Sarah back, but I'm actually really glad that Sarah told Ava right off the bat. I thought it was quite funny the way she just blurted it out right at the beginning, so I like the way they did that. I thought that was pretty cool. I'm really interested. I thought it was kind of a curveball that Sarah now has powers. I know a lot of people have wanted her to have some sort of superpower over the years, so I'm looking forward to see what they do with this now. It was cool to see Diggle. I forget his character's name in this, but I was hoping they'd have him in some more. Like, his character seems kind of neat. Like, he's got a lot of history, so maybe we'll see him again. I don't know, but if not, gosh, it's kind of a shame that they just had him sort of blink in and out, because it seemed like they could do a lot with that little bit of storyline. Nate seems kind of lost. And same with Mick. I wish they would do some more, have some substance to these guys' storylines. I really hate what they're doing with Mick right now. They didn't even mention anything about him this time. They showed him eating, and then they had an entire episode without even saying where he was or why he wasn't with them, and then he's sleeping. Like, it's just a shame what they've done with him, and it just really makes me angry. Some of the other storylines too, like Gary and John, obviously there's a lot of unspoken conversation that needs to happen between the two of them. They have a lot of history over the last few seasons, and we get one or two sentences of John being annoyed that Gary hid who he was from him all this time. Some of the storylines seem to just be sort of glossing over. I don't know if they just have too many different little sub-stories happening and they don't have enough time to give to each one, but I hope they develop them a little bit more or give us a little bit more time to each. Even Astra and Spooner, I mean, I get what they're trying to do with those two, but they need to not hurry through these storylines. One thing I do think I'm going to take from this episode, I really need a cowboy narrator to, narrate my life in song. I think that's fantastic. I thought that was kind of funny. Just kidding. Anyways, that's all I got for now. So hopefully we'll talk to you soon.
Told you the cowgirl was going to come through. So I'm sure you guys could hear it in her voice. She is not a person that gets angry hardly ever. She's got too sweet of a voice for that. But so the fact that she admits that she's angry about what they're doing to Mick, that she means business. Don't mess with her, Mick. Awesome stuff. Good to hear from you on the show again. All right, Harley, take her away with Dreamweaver's email to wrap this up.
All right. Hello, Legendaires. Dreamweaver here with feedback for Legends of Tomorrow, Season 6, Episode 7, Stressed Western. I don't have time to record anything this week, which is okay because I really don't have a lot to say about this episode. I'm only giving this 5 rounds of Go Fish out of 10. The Westerns were never my favorite, and of the 3 Western episodes we've had, this one is ranked at the bottom. Yeah. After the high of last week's episode, this one was kind of a dud. The premise wasn't bad. A creature terrorizing a village mixed with a goon that's holding a town hostage. Both very classic Western, but the execution of the two together felt messy at best here. It felt as though they should have gone with one or the other, not both. And the idea of the worm being attracted to anger felt like it was only there to get the legends to the point where they were all screaming at each other in one room.
Yeah.
I feel like this concept could have been a lot more conducive in a different atmosphere scenario, not a lighthearted Western. That worm, that worm looked as though it was meant to be a mix of the sandworm from Dune and a much smaller crate dragon. See Season 2, Episode 1 of The Mandalorian for a well-done Western, which is honestly one of my favorite Mando episodes.
Yeah.
Would have been tighter of an episode if they focused just on the alien and not on the corrupt sheriff. They could have made it about Bass Reeves trying to retake his town from the alien, and the legends helped him defeat it. I know David Ramsey directed this episode, so he had a lot on his plate, but they made his character nothing more than a featured extra. He barely got to be in the episode, and they could have done so much since he was playing a real historical figure, which made it kind of a disrespectful use of Bass Reeves. I agree.
Well said.
I will say that the coordination of everyone talking and changing places while in the square dance was very impressive. I almost didn't recognize Constantine without his trench coat.
Yeah.
I guess Sarah is effectively immortal now, or at least extremely hard to kill. Again, I don't particularly like this development, and while I am glad they did not have Sarah keeping that a secret, the way they did the reveal to Ava and then the team was laughable. They just skipped over any kind of actual conversation for the visual shock and jokes. The only thing I enjoyed and kind of chuckled at was the singing cowboy on the ship at the end. That was
You're
a different
outnumbered,
way.
Harley.
I know. It didn't work for me. That was a different way to wrap up the episode, but it was kind of fun. I swear the writers are going for a record this season on how many original songs they can have. There were like 3 alone in this episode. Yeah, there's been a song per episode, I think. The actor that played Stapleton was Nick Bishop, who also played the general in the Cuban Missile Crisis episode. Really?
Oh.
Huh.
Okay.
I wonder if this is just a side effect of the pandemic restrictions with reusing actors and ones that are already close to the cast, as he's Jess McCallan's partner in real life, so he'd be in Vancouver.
Oh. That's probably a very strong possibility.
I would agree with that statement. I actually didn't realize it was even the same guy, so kudos to wardrobe. But I know he's also supposed to be in another upcoming episode as well, Bad Blood. So I also wonder if that's leading to something within the plot as well. The fact this guy, or a version of him, is always showing up around an alien. Yeah.
Interesting.
And Zari 1.0. They're letting Nate visit Zari 1.0. She's very excited about this. Which means I hope that we get to see her again and soon. There's a lot of exclamation points in there. Rather disappointing and kind of scattered episode this week, especially after the high of last week's. Mick just disappeared after the first scene and wasn't even the rest of the episode. Berhad and Zari's bickering didn't add anything at all. Thought Nate was going to get a hero moment with the worm, but he did not. Everyone felt like they were acting over the top even more than usual. So that's all for now. Until next time, your friend Dreamweaver.
And she's in tune with me quite often. Love
Quite
it.
often.
Good stuff there, Dreamweaver. Good stuff, everybody. It's funny. One of our our overall lowest rated episode all season, we've gotten more feedback this time than we have for the good episodes. That's so weird.
Yeah, people came out of the woodwork for this one, which is crazy. Since none of us really loved it.
Well, now they got a couple weeks off to figure out, if they want to be part of the show or not, and send us in feedback like these fine folks, and this is what you gotta do.
If you would like to be a part of the show, you can send in your feedback to Tomorrow's Legends Podcast at gmail.com. You can also reach us on Twitter at Tomorrow's Legends. We'd love you to join our Facebook page at facebook.com/groups/Tomorrow's Legends and become part of the community.
So, on that note, we have 1 week off of Legends. So we come back on what? The 11th is when it airs. So we actually, we'll be recording Monday the 12th. Okay, so there you go. That's what you guys need to know. The 11th is when the show will be back. You guys can get any feedback for that one. Yeah, there you go. And we said last time we were on with you guys about Superman Lois, it is off till July 13th. And it looks like the last 3 episodes might come in the beginning of August, ending on August 17th, like originally predicted. So we'll see. It's as far as we know at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, once we get some updates, we'll let you know.
All right, yeah. And other than that, Mandalore's still going strong. There is no breaks for the Bad Batch. I don't think because it's Disney Plus, they don't seem to really care about the holiday break. It's going to air on Friday, so me and Dee Vizsla will be back in your ears. We're actually extending it by 1 day just because of the holiday where everybody's away, so we'll be recording that Monday night for all you guys that are checking that out. So that is it. That is all we're going to have for you guys. So that's all we got. This is The Flash signing off.
This is Harley Quinn. I'm out.
This is X-Force 11. So say we all.
Tomorrow's Legends is not affiliated with CBS, Warner Brothers, or the CW. We're a fan-made podcast for entertainment purposes only and are part of the Cybercast Network.